What's up, folks? I'm Odd, by the way, and let's just get it out of the way to start. Okay, unnecessary. Yes, I am bald. I let an impulsive thought win effectively when I was trimming my hair. I was hot and bored and wanted a little bit of a change, so I don't know. But I thought that I would revisit a concept that I have done already and did kind of flub up the first time, so I'm excited to also kind of redeem myself. I returned to the SCP Foundation website, and I will be doing another random SCP turned into a Pokemon, because I had fun with the series, well, I guess now, but challenge the last time that I did it, and I kind of did it wrong because I accidentally typed in, I think, 99 instead of 999. So we weren't working with the full gamut. So I want to rectify that and, of course, look further into the SCP Wiki, which is just fun in and of itself. And I get to practice reading stuff without flubbing up my words, which is difficult. So at that, let us just dive right in, and I will probably do one that will be a multi-step line like the one that I did before. If you want to check that out, I will have that somewhere. But yeah, so I will probably just be doing the one, reading that out, kind of getting the gist of them, and then making what I can of them into a Pokemon. Kind of Fakemon, effectively, but you know what I mean. The two franchises are very similar. There's a lot of collecting, and there's a lot of little guys. So the only difference is that they don't make them fight, I think. Sometimes they do, actually. I think that they've used SCPs to contain other SCPs and tried to destroy certain ones that are too dangerous. The, Basilisk one comes to mind. So we are going from 1 to 999. But not 1, 2 to 999. Let me double check. Yes, because I messed that up last time, and I only had the 99. But that's okay. We got a cool one out of it. So I'm not too mad. It's just it was a smaller selection. And we are still working with Series 1. Maybe I'll start doing, random series generation and then random numbers from there. Unsure. At that, let's just get right into it before I make this too long. And generate. What's our number? 691. Cool. Can I just... 69... Yeah, okay. A coward's way out. Control F, find is your friend in situations like this. And this is a pretty proper archive, so it still works. And I don't need to count things. Lovely. SCP-691. That was right? It wasn't 619? Yes. 691. Object class Euclid. Reclassification to safe pending confirmation from Foundation intelligence that redacted. Special containment procedures. One instance of SCP-691, so there's more than one, SCP-6910, is to be stored in a safety deposit box within the Foundation archives that's any other instances are to be destroyed following confirmation that they are identical to SCP-6910. Access is restricted to Dr. and her research assistants. Following incident SCP-691-I1, secondhand recordings of SCP-691 are prohibited unless permission is granted from a member of staff with Level 5 clearance. Please see investigation logs for details of standard experimental procedure with respect to any instance of SCP-691. Description: there are currently 15 identical instances of SCP-691 that are or have been under Foundation control. SCP-691 is a plain blue cassette tape on which is printed Pure Escapism Limited Edition, one of only 250. One side of the tape contains a short foreword by an unknown male introducing a piece of music. See addendum SCP-691-A1 for further details. On the opposite side, Aquarela do Brasil, using S.K. Russell's English lyrics, can be heard. This particular version is played by a modern symphony orchestra, with an unidentified lyric tenor providing the vocals. It should be noted that the foreword will always be played first, regardless of which side of the tape is entered into a player, and both pieces will always be played from the beginning. The foreword is harmless and has yet to be linked to any of the effects of SCP-691, Aside from encouraging the listener to turn the tape over, subjects listening to the musical piece have reported visual, auditory, and tactile hallucinations along with a sense of relaxation and well-being. However, it is unclear whether this is due to the nature of the hallucinations or if it is one of the tape's cognitive effects. Hallucinations have always been described as being benign by listeners and have not been cited as a direct cause of any psychological trauma. Even though hallucinations vary, they have shown some consistency for repeat listeners. Subjects allowed free access to SCP-691 will eventually become capable of doing little more than listening to the tape repeatedly, in several extreme cases foregoing food and drink to do so. Regular listeners who are denied access will not show traditional withdrawal symptoms. Instead, they will show difficulty in acknowledging visual or oral stimuli. In a few cases, subjects have either refused to or been unable to acknowledge any external stimulus. Transcript of SCP-91's foreword. Hi there. If you're listening to this, then I can assume that life has got the better of you. Things didn't work out the way you wanted them to, did they? Sometimes it's bad luck, sometimes you're the cause of your own ruin, or maybe it's just that you're going nowhere. I'm not one to judge. Everybody has regrets. It's perfectly normal. You don't have to lie to yourself. But I'm digressing, so I'll get to the point. I've got some good news for you, sir or madam. I can offer you a way out. No, it's not suicide. You and I both know you don't have the stomach for that unpleasantness. I'm offering you something so much better. Besides, all you have to do is flip this tape over, close your eyes, and relax. Think of somewhere nice. Think of the good times. Think of those things you've always wanted to do. Now, I can't promise that I can give you these, but what I can promise is this. On the other side of this tape, you will find an escape from your own personal train wreck. Enjoy. Incident SCP-691-I-1. Persons involved, Dr. M. Dr. M was a reliable and conscientious Foundation employee. His work on SCP and SCP have been of great use to the Foundation. Testimony from Dr. M's wife revealed that Dr. M was in substantial financial difficulty around the time of the incident, although it is uncertain whether or not this was a contributing factor to SCP-691-I-1. Redacted dates: Doctor enters the cell of subject D69125 and begins SCP-691-INV-30. Doctor concludes his investigations and D69125 is removed from the cell for termination. Doctor reviews dictaphone and transcribes the recording. Data expunged. Security footage shows Doctor exiting site with gatehouse security reports that Doctor cited a personal errand as his reason for leaving. SCP-6910 is reported missing by site security. Security footage is reviewed and a retrieval team is scrambled to Doctor's home in accordance with the Foundation's missing object policy. Retrieval team finds no trace of Doctor despite a thorough search of his home and the surrounding area. Doctor's credit card statement shows that he bought a personal cassette player from a secondhand shop around this time. Doctor is reported as a missing person by his wife. Local police department are authorized to conduct a search under Foundation supervision. Standard cover story. Doctor's body is found near and SCP-6910 is recovered. Responsibility for SCP-6910 is given to Dr. Postmortem showed that the probable cause of Dr. H's death was hypothermia brought about by exposure. The body was found with a personal cassette player containing SCP-6910. Foundation leaked standard cover story, and the local coroner's court returned a verdict of accidental death as a result of this, citing Doctor's fragile emotional state as an exacerbating factor. Agent's report stated that Doctor's death was an indirect result of data expunged. The report did, however, mention that Agent believed that Doctor's life could have been saved if he had less knowledge of Foundation missing object policy and suggested a review of non-classified information for non-security personnel. All three of Doctor's research assistants have since been subjected to full psychological evaluations and have been transferred to projects where cognitohazards and perceptohazards are not involved. Sound recording equipment must not be operated while any instance of SCP-691 is playing, and only written accounts from test subjects are permitted. So I assume if you make a copy of it, then it still works. An MRI scan taken whilst D12 was listening to 691 showed signals consistent with external stimuli, along with a strong reaction originating from the nucleus accumbens. I assume that's the area of your brain that is responsible for hallucinations. I can look it up, and I might later. Reward. Okay, it's the reward center of the brain. That's all I needed to see. I don't know much of this other stuff, but it is effectively the reward center of the brain. I'm responsible for good feelings, I assume, also associated with addictions. Interesting. Okay, so the whole of it, though, basically, is that it is a blue tape that is a form of cognito hazard. So I could see this going two ways. Maybe both, honestly. It could be a psychic ghost. Ghost type, I mean, it just kind of feels right for it. There's a lot of like Pokemon descriptions that are very much like resulting in people being somehow corrupted or slowly absorbed through ghost types a lot of the time, that they seem innocuous and then they wind up being dangerous. So that's kind of where that vibe is coming from for me, and because it's a cognito hazard, I would consider it being like a psychic type, mainly just ghost, probably ghost forward. I could see like a kind of anthropomorphized tape. I think that that could be interesting, and trying to turn it into something, I guess, a little bit more friendly. Although this is about as friendly as you can get. It's just kind of a don't pay attention to outward stimuli while you slowly deteriorate. Something that'll just trick you, or not trick you, but like make you dependent on it for literally the rest of your life, and that rest of your life will be a very short period of time because you won't do anything else. Interesting and scary. But okay. You know, the guy does warn you. He's like, hey, this will kill you. I will have to deliberate on this. It has already been way too long. I'll probably cut out a good chunk of some of the stuff that I've read here, but I will pop this over to Speedpaint voiceover, where I have hopefully figured out some stuff about this, and I will see you there. The description of 691 is pretty straightforward, obviously, with it just being an object. The fun thing is applying the pareidolia to make it a little guy. Cassettes already have two pretty obvious eyes. I played around with the idea of making it potentially transparent to maybe add expression via the wound tape inside, but I wasn't really liking that. For a simple seeming concept, this actually took quite a while to get somewhere where I was liking it. After also not really vibing with the concept of the center rectangle being the mouth, I decided to make the mouth actually drawn on the label of the design. A lot of empty cassettes made for taping music had blank labels to write on, and I feel like 691 would probably be one of those too, some sort of homemade looking thing, given it only allegedly had 250 copies made. I also added a little drawn-on bow tie for the body and staggered the sizes of the eyes to make it a bit more goofy and lively. The Pokemon's arms are like tape spilling out of the cassette. I made this a two-stage evolution, with the first stage being the lone tape and the second being the tape inside of a cassette player. I could see this being a trade or purely item level up that involves some sort of broken cassette player item. For the second step, I went for a larger player with a built-in speaker, mainly because a more compact one, like a Walkman, looks very similar to just the standalone tape from the first step. A few results in my references, I think they may have all come from the same shop actually, were displayed with their headphones over the top of them, and I thought that would be cute to have on this too, like the Pokemon was wearing them. The face of the second step looks more angry, with the buttons of the device acting as a sort of bared teeth grimace. The tape behind the broken glass looks mostly the same, although I did eventually decide to add some drawn-on little eyebrows to further push the grumpy face look. One thing I struggled with a lot were the holes of the speaker, but eventually I landed on a more simplified lightning bolt shape. That was also mostly where I decided this second step could gain an electric typing, so the first step is just a simple ghost type, which I pretty quickly landed on, and the second step is a ghost electric, a bit like Rotom. The arms here are the broken cables of the headphones that the second step is wearing. I called the first step casquette, which is a fusion of cassette and casket, which I'm realizing is spelled differently than I thought it was. It will be changed in post. And the second step is rewrite, that is W-I-G-H-T, like the type of ghost. It's supposed to play on rewind, but it could also work with rewrite, which is something you could do to a tape or music for that matter. As I am wont to do with Pokemon designs, I made some shiny versions of them as well. I wound up going for a navy blue, almost black, with red tape, which gives Casquette kind of a tuxedo look. Rewhite gets a black case with a red stripe, and their accents are closer to the regular Casquette's color. I imagine, in a Pokemon scenario, Casquette is similar to something like Greavard or Chandelure, in that it drains the energy of those who listen to its music. It lures its users to a state of bliss or sleep, and proceeds to drain their life force. Maybe more of a trickster than meaning any deliberate harm. Meanwhile, Rewhite is able to use its music to do a number of things. I could see it either getting a host of music-related moves, and or some sort of special ability that's similar to the move Perish song. Rewhite seems to hold some sort of grudge, maybe attached to the broken tape player it uses to evolve, or maybe the person who used it beforehand. Both are performers, though, and have a knack for drawing a crowd, if for nefarious purposes sometimes. Unlike their inspiration, maybe they could be convinced otherwise, though. Maybe a number of DJs or other performers wind up keeping them around. That way the Pokemon can get a quick bite of energy from a hyped-up crowd, and the trainers can benefit from their natural sense of showmanship. So, I'm not quite sure how or where to breach this topic in the video, but basically this whole video, besides the voiceover part that I'm doing right now, was made just before my mom died. I won't get too much into it, but the subject matter kind of weirdly intersects here with it as well. If you're wondering where I was, though, that is kind of the short of it. I made a few posts about it, but obviously I know not everyone who follows me here is on different platforms or sees everything I post. Hell, you might not even be subscribed and just clicked on this video on a whim, and I appreciate that. I felt like I had to at least say something. Life has obviously been busy since. Grief is big, and some of that processing has involved just a lot of change. Trying to sort out life, lots of errands, and reconsidering things. I still want to be here, like on YouTube, making art, but things might look a little bit different as I, along with my family, kind of work things out. I've been living at home and unemployed, so while I kind of chase the dreams of supporting myself with art and stuff like this, I'll probably be back to at least a part-time day job relatively soon. Creativity has been hard, but I am getting to a point where it's almost harder to not be creative, if that makes sense, so I will probably be back and doing stuff whenever I can. I don't mean to be too low on a silly Pokemon video, but this is also a part of that human side of the art that if it weren't there, what's the point, right? This video doesn't really have the context of a bad thing that happened, but it's going up after it did, and that felt weird to me. So that's what's been going on. If you liked what you see and you do want to help support all this nonsense, you can subscribe or even catch some other videos. I'm not trying to pity farm anything, but when it comes to potential financial support, that is the best, at least potential avenue here on YouTube, obviously. Also, just to even check out the rest of my channel. See if you want to come hang out. Part of all of this is also the community aspect for me. I want to hear what other people think and nerd out about Pokemon and animals and art. Anyway, before I make this video longer than it probably already is, and with all that reading and stuff, I will leave this here. Thank you for stopping by and watching, and at that, I will see y'all next time.